Hi, this is Joey. We're just going to quickly go over production of Good Vibes Only. We're going to start with All My Life. Just very quickly give you some tips if you're a producer trying to do some stuff that are vibey and good. What I'm going to go through specifically is grouping. Just going to listen to it. How is that so delicious and tight? You see I have a drum group. And then I have a side group. Sorry, this is so unorganized. Essentially, if I mute the drum group, everything, all the vocals, every instrument that I want side chained, go in the side. Also, if you don't know what side chaining is, it is essentially when you have an input or two inputs, and one of the inputs will mute the other input when it's active. There's a kick drum and a vocal. When the kick drum hits, the vocal will go down when the kick hits, and then back up when the kick is not playing. It'll be like boom, boom. What it does, it creates a pulsing effect. And what I'm doing here to create a pulsing effect is I'm putting everything that is not drums into one group. When the drums hit, everything dips and then comes back up, and it creates a pulsing, which is very nice for club music. So as you can see here, if I mute the drum group, it's everything except the drums, and you hear that pulsing, lets the drums pass through. Let's go into sound design, and then this kind of sound design vibe that we're going for G.V.O, like a sine wave that has like a resonance. So I use FL Studio. My plugin of design for G.V.O was Harmor. I'm a Vital guy. I love Vital, but that's for heavier dance music. In this case, we are going to use Harmor because Harmor has it's a very good FM synth wavetable synthesizer. And Vital it's a wave sampler. So there's a legato, which means every note that hits, it slides. I have a small legato, so it doesn't take forever for it to land to the next note. It's very quick, and it gives it that wobbly effect when it hits other notes. There's a vibrato, which is the wobbly effect after it plays for a certain amount. Lastly, the resonant effect. So what I do here, it's just a simple saw mixed with a square wave up here, you can see on the very top, with a lot of chorus and a low pass filter. I have a low pass filter set at approximately, 40%. And this window is shaping every time the note hits. So I'm going to press play. And you can see when I remove it, up here on the top is the resonator. So I set the resonator pretty high. The filter passes the resonating frequency. There's a very strong resonant. That's really it. I just have a stereo enhancer so that it can be more stereo in the back. I have an OTT, which is just a multiband compressor. So that's sound design. Well, let's go into mixing. A lot of the fuel that you're going to use is your mixing. That's kind of your power tool. Everyone mixes differently. I love saturation. That's kind of the focus of G.V.O, is to use saturation appropriately so that it doesn't sound distorted, but it sounds good. What I did, it's multiband compressor, clipper, followed by a saturator, because what it does is that the soft clipper clips at the very loudest point of any volume. A wave shaper is just a distortion plugin. It distorts the already saturated levels. It actually makes the volume louder. So if I remove all the plugins, very quiet. Now with plugins. And the saturation also gives a warmth distortion at the very end of every pulse, which is very nice. I have an EQ just to cut out the high ends, and then I always cut the lows. You don't have to. But I like to in specific scenarios. This one very specifically because dance music has a lot of bass. So I try to cut out as much bass as I can to let the actual sub pass through. And then lastly, a limiter and a final compressor. This one's it's compressed very hard. And that's kind of what I do for everything. For the vocals, it has different EQing. You don't want to hear the low end. Actually, let's look at mine. So mine are here. I have a compressor, a multiband compressor. Here's my EQ. I just cut the lows, and I kind of have a soft, I got a soft clip, I guess you can call it, a band. And then I boost in the mids and the mid highs. And then after my EQ, again, saturation, distortion, and then a final limiter. There is some sound design stuff like the Nero bass that's kind of sliding everywhere. So I have a Nero bass here. C is just small legato, a lot of chorus, as we stated previously. And it's just sliding everywhere. A lot of the magic of the sound is the distortion and the multiband compression being very high. This is where it's going to get a little crazy because it has to do with music theory, but why not just talk about music theory for a little bit? These chords. The very end, we introduce what I'd consider more gospel, soulful tones. We are in the key of C sharp major, or sorry, D flat major. Who cares anymore? I flip between some modes. In the key of D flat major, I'm gonna hit an F sharp, which is a 4 chord, and going to a 3 chord is a F natural, or it's a D flat over F. The 3. And what I do here, what makes it soulful, is if you turn your 3 into a major chord, a major 7th chord. Ooh, you hear that kind of, that tang, that stinkiness, but it gives it flavor, right? If I'm going down, and let's keep going down, and then 1. Wow, that sounds great. To add flavor, I'm gonna turn the 3 into a major. Ooh, that's really good. You can even do, as a transitional chord, on the F major 7, one of the notes is an A. Your left hand is on the F, because that's what the chord is, but you can also go to the A as a transitional chord. Watch. So I'm hitting the F, and I'm going to switch to the A on my left hand. Ooh. Now let's resolve on the B minor. So a lot of what I'm doing is just changing the minor chords to major. What I usually say, if it sounds good, just go with it and keep figuring it out. There is a lot of technicality to it, but that is totally not important. It's a 4, 3 major 7, 6 minor, 2 major 7, and it just kind of keeps going. What I do is I just have a lot of soulful instruments. So I have a synth, a cool Nero sub, the EP piano, an organ, very sick stuff, and also the drums have a little swing to it. If you don't know what swing is, in a measure of 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4 notes between every quarter note. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's just normal. To add swing, which is like a jazz swing term, hit the middle notes slower or faster. Instead of it being a very stagnant, it's like a, and it's very nice. You can hear it's not, it's that gives it that flavor, that good vibe flavor. Full circle, everything is on one channel. Put the two groups together, and there you have it. Hopefully you learned something today. Thank you again for listening to G.V.O. I thought, why not just dissect a little bit, have a short little fun video. If you like the video, please share it. If you don't like the video, scream at me, leave a very mean comment, and I will read it and be very upset. But please do that. Please don't like the video. Please don't ever. Don't share it. Don't even talk about it. Thanks. Bye.